Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are super, super excited today to do this podcast. Joanna Wright, the real estate wealth maven, and I'm Becky Eastup Noble, the credit coach queen, and we are here at Trinity Podcast to bring you some wealth information. Why we created this podcast was to helping Americans understand and master real estate investing, business and personal credit money matrix, and how each one affects you and how to leverage your Trinity wealth and take control of your economic independence. Today, we are going to speak about money as a slave and how are you a slave to your money, and some ways that maybe you can shift your thought process and change how you view money. Miss Joanna, do you want to speak to that?
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm super excited to jump on today's podcast. This is actually this is a sore subject for some people, and you might even just turn the podcast off right now because you're like, money. I get it, you know, and we think about money 24/7. It seems like because it has something to do with our lives 24/7. You know, I mean, you can't avoid it. And so it becomes this slave. And this is, you know, a podcast that we're listening to. And there were some 10 bombs that were listed, the truth bombs about money. And we're going to pull those out today and unpack those because I know you don't want to be a slave to money. I know you don't want to have your life revolving around a paycheck. And that's why we're here, is to really get those entrepreneur mindset driven people that are wanting to make a change in their life. And we bring those opportunities here on the podcast to give you those nuggets that will catapult you into that direction. So yeah, hopefully you guys are still with us and you didn't turn us off because you can't stand money. So basically, that's all I really wanted to say to that. And I really want to dive into the actual bombs like right away, so people are getting value right away, and unpacking those so that you guys can see that money does not have to be. You don't have to be a slave to money. Right? You want to make money your slave. Like, that's really the point we want to get across here today. So you want to lead us off on that, Beck?
Yeah, absolutely. I was listening to this audio this week, and where we found this material is in the financial fit 47 principles of being financially fit. Warren Woodward, Chris Brady, they put together this whole program, and I absolutely love what they speak about. And yeah, there you go.
I have the book if you guys are looking at it.
I mean, yeah,
we run over. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Thank you. So we're actually going through that together as a class right now. And what I love about going through it as a class is that we get different people's perspectives. But what I noticed this week while I was listening to specifically the Money as a Slave audio that they put out, like I've been listening to that audio for probably the last 2 years off and on, here and there. I'll drop back in and review it so that I can get my mind right around money. And it just really started to hit home to me, like after 2 years of kind of studying under them, that like I feel like I get up every day and I earn a paycheck and money goes to whatever. Like, trading time for money is a big thought process, and that but really taking control of what you're spending your money on is like an action step, instead of feeling like your money's got control over you all the time. And so I think that Joanne is absolutely right that we don't want to feel like we're a slave to money, but we feel like we're a slave to money, especially in today's day and age. Like, I keep asking this inflation question, like, hey, have you noticed that prices have gone up on things? And then I just listen to what's going on out there, and it's like, like the price of groceries is like insane these days. And so we're real big about teaching people how to bring down the cost of everything that they're spending money on anyway. And so that's keeping more of the money that you make so that you can take what you're saving and then go build an asset that will kick off income to you. And so I'm so glad that we're covering like these 10 bombs this week of like things that could really jam you up and mess up all your finances, destroy all the hard work that you're doing. And so really listen in and pay attention. And we might have some problem solving things along with those 10 bombs of what not to do. So yeah, you want to start with the first one, Miss Joanna?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're saying this because the particular bombs is because it's so easy for you to say, well, I'm just going to have $10 or $100 automatically drafted into my savings account. And, I don't see it, I don't touch it. That's people, when I first speak with people, that's usually their first thought on how to keep more of the money they make. Here's some bombs that are going to destroy that for you. The first one is taxes. And it's so appropriate for me because this is where I geek out, is on taxes. And there's really not much you can do about it unless you Chris says you could vote correctly besides, really understanding taxes. So if you understand taxes, you'll know that they're actually for the capitalists. So the capitalists in the world use them to keep more of the money they make. And that's why people tend to say the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And it's just because you don't understand taxes. And there's just not much you can do about it, but play the game, right? So that's the very first one. You want to take the second one in?
Absolutely. And just remember, learn how to play the game. Like we can all educate up on our knowledge of things if we wanted to. We just got to take a little bit of time to learn the game. And so the second bomb is home ownership, and how you feel about buying a house. And I know Joanna will totally speak to this, but she talks about it all the time in her Teaching People How to Retire with Real Estate Investing, about how to have no emotion whenever you're purchasing property. And I think that's just such a huge thing because people are emotional beings. I was actually listening to this one podcast, and I'll go into this super quick, but I really liked, I think she referenced this book. I think it's called Z Snap or Z Effect or something. I'll put that in the chat later. But the point was, what she suggested is that you imagine that your emotion is something that you could take out of yourself, and like you could put it in a jar and just look at the emotion and examine it for a little bit and say like, yeah, do I really feel this way, or is this emotion? How am I making this decision? And so I think when it comes to making decisions in home ownership, people get so caught up in emotion, and then reality sets in of what they just did because they were emotional about that decision, and that can really jam you up. So anyway.
Absolutely. So I always say it's about the numbers. And if y'all paid attention to the closing statement, even if it's at 2 or 3% rate that you got, you're like, whoa, it's only 2 or 3%, right? And even for those of you that are refining, because you had 5%, now you got 2. I think we're at 4.2 right now. They're raising the rates up. They're going up. Woo. But if you look at the numbers, you're going to know you're paying 3 to 4 times the purchase price for that home. So think about that for a minute. And you're going, Joanna, what? No, it just says 200. I'm paying 200,000 for the house. No. By the end of your 30 years, and you're probably going to be paying even more because you'll probably refinance in 5 to 7 years. So you're going to start right from the beginning of all that front-loaded interest. That's a whole nother subject that we can get into about compound interest. And this is where people lose a ton of money. And you buy the house because you're like, oh, it's so perfect. This room is for the nursery, or, this is so perfect. This is the man cave. I'm going to do this. And like, there's so much emotion that goes into buying a house. And I get it. I've done it. I've totally done it. And since being a real estate investor for the past 20 years, I don't do that anymore. Because if the numbers don't make sense, we don't buy it.
I love it. I'm also going to bring this back up again. Because he talks about, Warren talks about how much house you should buy for the amount of money that you make. And there's math to that. And then just don't go out of your budget. And so it's really simple, especially if you're
But
just
it's
the first
not
time buyer.
easy.
Yeah, no,
Not
emotions are involved, right?
right, right. That's so
Yeah.
crazy because I mean, math is a simple formula and
Mm.
people refuse to do the math. They just go, oh, I can make that payment.
Yeah,
And
right.
that's
I
it.
can make the monthly payment. We are such a monthly payment driven society. And I think that was one of my very first ha-has in the financial fitness was like, oh, I do that. I think, oh, can I afford this monthly payment? Okay, I can buy it. And that's really society has just taught us to think like
Yeah.
that. And that's so the wrong way to think. But one other thing that I really loved about what they teach is how to pay off a house in the next 2 to 5 years. And so it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, maybe I am stuck in the middle of this. I've already bought a house. I'm stuck in the middle of this 30 years. Oh my God, that's most of my life. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it doesn't take much. You just need that little detail to understand that you could pay your house off in 2 to 5 years. And not be stuck in that and actually start building wealth and assets, because obviously just home ownership is not an asset like a lot of people believe, because it's not making you income, it's costing you money to live there. So that's a huge nugget.
Yeah.
You want to take the next one, Joanna?
Sure, absolutely. So divorce is number 3. And it's a huge financial reason why you might want to work it out. Divorce is the number one financial destruction of people's lives. And I actually help a lot of divorced people through, selling their home. Like one person's in one room and one person's in the other room. They don't really like each other, but they have to come together to sell the house, right? And you end up being this counselor of it's okay, she didn't mean that, or he didn't mean that, let's just get the house done. Let's just base it on the facts, right? And I watched them lose so much money because of irreconcilable. What's the
I know what you're saying.
irreconcilable difference?
Irreconcilable differences.
Yeah, that's I remember that from Drew Barrymore as a little girl. What was that? Really? There's so many more reasons to get a divorce, right? And to have it just be an emotional thing, really, that's something that hopefully y'all could work out, because it's devastating to your pocketbook. So yeah, just saying, it's probably cheaper to get therapy.
A whole lot cheaper, right? And then
Yeah.
you get to work on some of the stuff that you were messing up anyway. I know I'm a big believer in that, and big believer in the five languages of love. For sure is a good book to start with if you have any of those kind of issues. Just throwing that out there. But Joanna can totally speak to the house and selling the house thing. I can totally speak to credit. And I can tell you that the main reasons that I see people is because of past relationships and things that couldn't get worked out in divorce, medical bills, and job loss. Those are usually the top 3 reasons that somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I need to clean up. It made a mess. Now we need to clean it up. And so how do I get started? And so here's the thing about that. And I'll just do just a little bit of teaching moment here on this subject, because people come to me all the time and they're like, well, we got divorced and the house is theirs. It was in the divorce decree that the house belongs to them, but it's still on my credit. They're not making the payments. What do I do? Like, can't I just send in the divorce decree to the credit bureaus? And it's like, nope, you can't, because it's a court thing, not a credit thing. You both signed the dotted line with that company saying that you're going to make the payments. And if they're not holding up their end of the bargain, that company still fully expects you to pay those payments. So you actually have to take the spouse back to court and sue them because they're in contempt because they're not following what the judge decreed in court. And so, but I often have to explain that to people, and they're really upset about this situation. But here's the thing, it's all about knowing the rules and knowing how to play the game. And so you should really look into the rules before you get a divorce. And like we're saying, maybe divorce isn't the answer. Maybe you could do something different. So
This
anyway,
is a drop the mic moment. So if you guys were driving when you heard this, you might want to pull over, re-listen to that little moment. Send it back 30 seconds or so, I think it was, and listen to what Becky just said, because so many things happen in a divorce that is out of your control. And messing your credit up. So many people go to Becky for this, and there's nothing she can do with your divorce, right? She could totally fix up your credit all day long, but your divorce is a whole nother answer. So on the average, people are getting divorced, within 2 to 7 years. Can you believe that? It's ridiculous. It's like we all have ADD and can't stand each other in 2 years. So why did you get married in the first place? So let's just start with, I'm not trying to get into marriage counseling or anything like that, but it's all about at the end of the day, it's about the dollar, right? It's about the dollar and how it's going to affect you. And keeping more of the money you make is really where we're striving here. So yeah, maybe therapy is better for you guys. Cheaper.
well, and better for your children always.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know what your situation is, and it doesn't really matter. That's not the talk that we're having. We're just saying, hey, this is one of the things that could keep you a slave to money the rest of your life. And so these are the things that we're just saying, hey, let's pay attention to that. And so moving right along, because that's just, nobody's getting divorced anyway. Everybody's staying married, right? That's the goal.
Right. That's a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah. So uninsured, unexpected events. One bad things happen and then you're whipped. So basically saying, make sure you have the right insurance to keep you covered. And so I don't know what that looks like for you. I don't know if you need to shift your finances around just a little bit just to make sure you have that little bit of insurance covered. Right now I have a family situation, and they're dying. They know they have stage 4 cancer, like it's coming. And so we looked into funeral insurance. And so I just, highly encourage to make a plan for tomorrow for your family and for you. Like if you don't have car insurance, like that's the basics of basics. And so maybe take a look at your expenses and what you're spending money on, and figure out what's a want and a need, and then make sure that your needs are met before the wants.
Absolutely. So when I first started out as a mortgage broker a long time ago, and looking at people's credit reports, like Becky said, the number one thing you see on there is medical collections. Those are uninsured, unexpected events. That's number 4, right? It happens. Nobody plans for an emergency or, to go skiing. So an investor friend of mine, I just made fun of him because he was skiing again, and he loves to ski, but he also broke his clavicle again, so, and as an investor, we have to have our own insurance, our own emergency funds and whatnot. It's not brought on by any employer. So if you're an entrepreneur, know that those things happen. Trying to go out and have fun, and he's skiing. And so I was teasing him, like, when are you going to learn how to ski? It's been years, but he showed the x-ray. It's clearly broken and he can't even move his arm up. So what if that happened? What if you had a stroke? What if, and nobody plans for that. So this is where we really, we just beat this to death to get it out to you guys, because it's one of the number one things that happens. bad things happen and you get wiped out and you can't afford to recover and you have this $50,000 hospital bill and how the heck are you going to pay that? So
Mhm.
we're not trying to scare you or anything. We're just trying to say there's a way to be more prepared for
Yep,
that.
absolutely. That way you never have to come see me other than just to be my friend.
Yeah.
Or to learn more wealth building strategies so that we can move right along so that we're not having to deal with the basics. This is the basics. Um, you wanna, what's the next?
Number 5,
Yes, ma'am.
keeping up with the Joneses. I
Oh,
think they have a commercial out with that right now, keeping up with the Joneses. And it's all the different Joneses, actors and whatnot. And the singer Jonas says, well, I'm keeping up with the Jonas. And everyone's like, who the hell are you? So anyways, it's a funny commercial. um, but it's so true. People think they need a certain car, they need a certain jacket, certain eyeglasses, certain status quo, because Mary J. Blige is wearing something, or or some football players wearing something that's crazy cool, and you have to have it so you can keep up with, the look. Or your family's pressuring you to get the white picket fence in the house because that's what you do, and you go raise a family, and so you feel pressured to buy a house, like all of these things. And then you have neighbors that just bought a BMW now that you have this house, and you're like, oh, I've got this Honda Civic and from 1982 and I need to look better because I moved into this neighborhood, right? I see it all the time. So keeping up with the Joneses is one of I think it should be number one, really. Well, taxes is pretty. Anyways, people they got to have the right tennis shoes. They have to have the shirt that matches the right. Well, now I need a red pair of shoes because I have a red shirt. Like, come on. And then you can't put food on the table.
mhm.
So anyways, this is what leads to number 2, divorce, because now you're fighting about finances and putting food on the table, and you bought those shoes because they needed to match your shirt, right? So and it's because that's the look, and you're keeping up with the look of the fashion and whatnot. And there's nothing wrong with doing that if you can afford it.
Mhm. So
What
authentically,
people,
right?
what's that?
Authentically keep up with
Authentically,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What people love about people is being authentic. So if you are in that 1982 Honda Civic in the house that you're renting, or and you have shoes that don't match your shirt, we're still going to love you anyways because you're a good person.
Well,
So yeah,
and from a space of gratitude, like, oh my gosh, there's people all over the world that don't have that. So, by comparison,
grateful that you
we
have a
are
shirt
the,
to put on your back, a car
yeah.
to drive, a house to live in. Absolutely, absolutely. Good point.
Yep, it's amazing, all the things that we're given. And so I love these thought processes and principles for sure. Um,
Number
so
6.
yes, ma'am. This is a fun one for me because I see it all over people's credit reports. And it's college. College is a killer of finances. And, I really, again, going back to studying this financial stuff and really diving into what they're teaching, um, you know, you go to school, you get a good job, you work 45 years, you retire on a third to half of what you couldn't afford to live on anyway. And then you go get a second job after you get a retirement job, right? A retirement job at McDonald's or wherever. But that's not your plan. Your plan was to retire and go travel the world and have fun and all of those things, which we can do as we live throughout our lives if we just budget properly. But this college one, man, really, people that are doctors, I want you to go to college. Thank you very much. But I do think that there should be an intermediate. What do you dream about for your life? And how do you plan to get there? And is college the vehicle to get you there? Like, and so start out with a better plan before you just do what society thinks you're supposed to be doing by going to college. Because really, if you think about, if a third of your money's going to taxes and a third of your money is going to debt. You're living off a third of which you couldn't afford to live off in the first place. Where do you think that debt is starting out? They start kids out at 18 years old, getting them into debt. And usually a student loan takes 20 years at the minimum payment to pay off, right? How much interest did you actually end up paying at the end of that 20? Oh, I plan to take a loan out and then pay it off as soon as I get my good fancy job. Well, if you look at statistics, numbers, don't get emotional about it, but look at the numbers of people that actually use their college degree and then make a decision if that's what you want to spend all that money and time. Because remember, when we pay for things, we're trading our time for money. And so you're losing time by paying interest. Compound interest is actually working against you.
We should
In
have a
this
whole nother
instance,
podcast on compound interest for sure.
oh my gosh, absolutely. Because it's the eighth
Yeah,
wonder of the world, according to Albert Einstein, right? And it can actually work for us. And
it
that's
could
what's so
for you.
exciting about it. So just be really cautious. Danger on the college thing for sure. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, it could totally, so I want you to ask yourself this question real quick, a little audience participation here. Did you go to college? And are you doing what you went to college for? And if you're younger, maybe ask 5 people. Now, actually, everybody go ask 5 people that went to college. And are they doing what they went to college for? You're going to find that that is a rare. I'm doing exactly what I did for college.
Oh my gosh, you know what? I totally want people to put that in the comments. Like, did you go to
Yeah.
college? And are you doing what you went to college for? Like, totally, like now, put that in the comments or whenever it's you're watching this. I want to see how many people we can get to answer this question and like what that answer is. That's so exciting. What a great question. I did go to college and I am not using my degree. So that's probably why I feel how I feel about it. But
Exactly. I'm not doing anything I went to college for. And almost anyone I speak to, unless they are a doctor and had specific goals, specific classes, specific, and they went there for a purpose. You know, even doctors are quitting being a doctor because it's not what they truly wanted, right? That's a whole nother story. But it's rare that you find somebody that went to college that thought they'd get I think I'll choose this major or that major. Like they didn't have any real direction that they wanted, or even if they did, they desired, maybe they wanted to be an artist. They went to, specialize in artwork and all of that. Who knows? But I can almost guarantee you, I would love somebody to put in the comments that tells me this is exactly what I did. I'm exactly doing what I'm doing for college, and I love it.
And I love it. That's
and I love it. Yeah, that's what I want to hear, right? I doubt I'm going to see that in the comments, but I would love to be proven wrong. Go for it. Go for it.
Yay, yay, yay.
So that was number 6. Number 7 is addictions. And this is not a light subject, and it's not something I'm going to like really dive into deeply, but addictions come in many shapes and sizes, right? Addictions make it so that you have little to show for your money. That's the bottom line of an addiction, right? And you could put that on gambling, you can put that on alcoholism, you can put that on shopping, you can put that on video games, you can put that on, I mean, there's so many things that people are addicted to. Social media, right? It's because of addictions that you're not creating more of the money that you need and not educating to keep more of the money that you make and making money a slave to you, right? Addictions takes all of that away. So, and it's get help, please call, do whatever you need to do in order to fix that addiction, because we all know we have them. I mean, I get addicted to my business. I get addicted to real estate. I get addicted to and then I forget to do other things. right? So it could be simple stuff and it could be major stuff. Addiction is real, right? Addiction is real. So definitely get help if it's something that is really taking over your life. Okay. Number 8, anything you want to add to that? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Beck.
Man, that was so perfect. You couldn't have said it any better other than, we all have our stuff. I like to think that I'm working on getting a little bit better and less of something every day and a little more closer, really for me, closer to God and closer to what my purpose is in this life and what I'm supposed to be doing. So I know that addictions take me away from that. And so I work on it too, just like everybody else. I don't know what it is for you, but yeah, I'm in therapy for sure. And I surround myself with people that are all trying to grow and be better and learn from each other how to do better. And so, you're invited to hang out with us anytime. So
Exactly.
yep. So number 8 is investments. And investments, this goes right along with talk to your advisor first. So anytime that how does Chris Brady say it? He says, anytime that somebody else needs your money to fund a project, they don't deserve it. They haven't earned it. Not awesome. I love. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So investments, obviously check your financial advisor first. And in saying that, I also got to run my caveat that they'll never speak about real estate. So speak to your advisor and speak to someone who does something other than what your advisor does for investments. That's like precious metals and real estate and whatnot. So get the whole picture is all I'm saying, not just listening to someone who's going to get a commission off your investment. That's all I want to point out there.
Love it.
Number 9, money is your slave, not, I'm going to repeat, not your master. Money is a slave, not your master. And so many people have that opposite. They're working for the money. They're every day at their job working for the money. To put food on the table. You might even say, Joanna, well, I have to put food on the table, so I have to go to job and I have to go. But you're working for money. You're not letting money work for you. So, and that's probably a whole other podcast too on working. Let's write that one down, right? Ideas of how to make it work for you, right? Because we're not going to get into that today, but definitely, if it's not working for you, you just haven't developed the right thinking yet. And again, that's why we're here helping Americans understand their Trinity wealth, real estate assets, business and personal credit, and the money matrix, how money works, right? And this is a big one today, how money works, make it work for you, right?
Mm-hmm. There's a cute little thing that Chris Brady says that I always think about, and it puts everything into perspective for me whenever it talks about this. He talks about a dog, and you know how a dog will wag its tail and it has control over wagging its tail? That's how your money should work for you, because you never walk around seeing a dog where the tail is wagging the dog. Right? Like you see the dog wagging the tail. And so I always think about that with my money. Like, hey, I have to pay this certain stuff. Like I have to pay my electric, my gas, my water, all of these things. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that I purchase that I want rather than need. And whenever I go to my wants, do I have other things that I'm paying debt on or interest on? That if I could get that paid off faster, then I could be keeping more of the money that I make so that I could purchase the things that I want. We're not saying to live like a miser. We're saying, hey, let's just be smarter whenever it comes to money. And are we making emotional decisions whenever we're purchasing things versus reliable things for our family and beyond? So that we can build a legacy, so that we can build assets that kick off things that we actually want. Like what's the example that you give about Robert Kiyosaki, Joanna?
Are the 4 quadrants?
No, it's about if you want toys.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So it's about doodads, right? So assets versus doodads. So if you want to buy the boat, right? Everyone deserves a boat if they want one. But don't buy it like we were talking earlier about, oh, I can afford that payment, right? Make something pay for it. Make an asset pay for a doodad. Okay, is the bottom line. Make an asset like real estate where you're getting cash flow, pay for the doodad that you want. So you're not coming out of pocket to pay for that doodad, right? $500 a month for, a payment on a boat. So if you had your tenants paying you rent and that cash flowed $500, you could take that and go directly to the boat, right? I mean, obviously there's more to it than that, but that's the bottom line that Robert
Or just pay cash.
Yeah, or just pay cash, right? So if you're in that payment mindset, go make something pay for it, right? And I usually make real estate pay for everything that I do. So,
which is smart. And then number 10, never spend more than 25% of your income. Sick, job losses, disappointment, wars, political problems. We cannot control what's going to happen to the almighty dollar. And so, we need to be a lot more conscious and aware of what's going on in the world right now, because if you don't realize that something's going on, like, I don't say get into the media and all the new stuff, but go to the grocery store and do a price comparison on what you spent on groceries 6 months ago, what you spent on groceries a year ago, as opposed to what you're spending on groceries right now. And I guarantee everybody has a thought around that. And you could totally comment, hey, I'm spending more on groceries. And that's, I want to hear what you have to say about what do you think about inflation right now? What do you think about our current state of, everything, the chaos going on? I don't want to get into a big long discussion about it, but yes, prices have been going up. Well, why is that? Why is inflation even a thing? And it's like they talk about this a lot, that we don't even know what non-inflation looks like in our generation, but it actually is a thing, that there is such a thing as no inflation. That's what gold was about in the first place, was to keep us all honest. And so they talk about this a lot in Exposed, the Financial Matrix, which will be a whole nother talk that we do. But Warren Woodward wrote a book. I highly encourage you to get it if you haven't read it yet. Oh my gosh, he takes all the facts and puts it all together and says, here's what's coming next, and here's how we fix it. And so that's super exciting to know that there is a solution out there. We just kind of all are looking to lock arms and find leaders to get that information out to people so that we can fix it together.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And just in closing here, I wanted to step on, you can't control the dollar. Don't even try. Just discipline yourself enough to know how to make it your slave, right? And knowing that, so my son said something really great the other day. He said, how do you survive a sinking ship? Right? You look at the Titanic, it sunk. What did they do? They got on something that floated, right? So that they can survive as long as they could. And if you think about it, if you're looking at the dollar, it's like a quarter of the value that it used to be. But if you put your money into something that is growing, like real estate, and I'm going to be biased and say just real estate, because it's going to float with the economy. They're printing all kinds of money. So the dollar is way less, but the value of the property is up here, right? Mm-hmm. So put your money into something that floats with the economy, right? And know that your dollar is going to be worth, I think it's at 10 times more right now, right? So just watch. So I always say buy real estate and wait. Everyone's like, well, I'm going to wait till the market drops. I'm going to buy it local. Well, when's the market going to drop? Where's your crystal ball? Tell me now. So buy real estate and then wait. Watch it float up. Now, does it dip? Yeah, absolutely. It dips. But if you buy correctly and have the cash flow, I mean, and you use it correctly, it's going to be there for you as an asset. Way more money than what you use to pay for it. So, and it's proven throughout, decades. So jump on something that floats, right? Jump on something that floats, because you cannot control the dollar. So I just want to add that little tidbit on number 10 in not spending no more than 25% of your income, and knowing that job losses and the political problems in the world, the dollar, you can't control those things. Right?
We can control our economy.
You can
We don't
control
have to
yeah,
believe in their economy. We can just control our economy, what we're doing for ourselves and our family and beyond every day. And so that's, I think, I love what you just threw in there. And that's an awesome analogy. So floating is good. And so I would highly encourage you, like, typically when people say stuff like that, sometimes I get, well, I can't do that because there's always, I can't do that because well, let me tell you that's probably silly string. That's probably something that you're telling yourself that's not the truth. And so maybe ask the question, what else is possible? How could I do that? How can I do that? Well, I might make a mistake and lose everything. Well, what do you have now? And so if you learn how to build wealth, then nobody can take that knowledge from you. And so I think that and then we got somebody so awesome like Joanna that can show you exactly how to not make some of those mistakes, because she's been doing this 20 years. She knows how to not make those mistakes. And then when it comes to credit, I mean, I'll totally help you on how you need to look on paper in order to go do those things. So what is in your mind holding you back from making this jump? And it's not even a jump. It's just a decision to get smarter.
Absolutely. And this is why we're doing this podcast, so we can help Americans understand real estate investing, business and personal credit, the money matrix, because the trinity of that is really what's going to create your own economic independence.
So beautiful. Okay. Well, I'm so glad you guys got to join us today. And we can't wait till we do the next one. And make sure to put stuff in the comments, any ahas or nuggets that you got out of it. We would love to hear more.
Got it. Take care. Bye.